What's going on, you guys? My name is Mike Hilario. Some of you may know me as Slim. Those of you that don't, I too have a YouTube channel. Hopefully, whoever's channel you're watching this on, they linked it down below. This past weekend at the San Jose, California Regionals, there was about 400 people, 9 rounds. I ended up going 7-2, not with the typical deck. I did not play Thunder Dragons. I did not play Sky Strikers. I didn't play Orcus. I didn't play Salamangreat. I didn't play any of the decks that are the quote-unquote meta decks of the format. What I did play was Danger World FTK. That's right, you guys. Danger World FTK. And for those of you that don't know what that is, and if this video sounds interesting, well, let's get into it. Alright, you guys, like I said, this past weekend I played the Danger World FTK. And for those of you that don't know, this is the card that does it. This is the main boss monster of the deck. Arcana Force XXX won the world. His effect reads when he's summoned, so in any possible way, special summon, normal summon, tribute summon, summoned off Saryuja, summoned off Monster Reborn or World Legacy Succession, you toss a coin, and if the result is heads during the end phase, send 2 monsters that I control to the graveyard. I skip my opponent's turn. Tails, during the opponent's draw phase, they add the top card of their graveyard to their hand. Basically, what this does is I just skip their turn, and that's what I was doing basically all weekend whenever I went first, if I was able to get through my whole deck. And yeah, I play a ton of Dangers. I play 3 Saryuja. It's basically like Danger FTK / Draw FTK, except that it's World FTK OTK. I'm going to give you guys a little backstory of why I chose this deck over any other decks, because people who know me know I usually play Thunder Dragons or something meta, but there's a kind of like a cool story behind this deck. So we'll get into the profile, but we'll start with the main reasons why I played the deck. So of course, the boss man, the win condition of the deck, the world, and light barrier. So people don't know light barrier. The short version of this is that it lets it so that whenever I summon an Arcana monster, I automatically choose the coin flip, so I'm always calling heads because that means I'm going to skip my opponent's turn. This does have an effect, though. Say I summon the world and say I'm not able to put damage on board. During the standby phase, I do flip a coin, and based on that result, it basically causes another loop. If I hit heads again, I actually do have to flip a coin at that point. Basically, I'm looping them again. I've skipped 2 of my opponent's turns, and I'm for sure going to win that turn, because usually when I'm summoning the world, I mean, it starts at 3,100. Under Saryuja, it's 3,400. All I got to do is get a couple more monsters on the board, and it's game. So that's pretty much the win condition. The backstory on this was a good friend of mine, whose name is also Michael, lent me these cards. He had a first edition near mint Ulti World, as you guys can see, and it was originally going to be for a deck profile. Shout out to my brother Akeem Davis. He almost topped YCS Chicago with this strategy, and I wanted to basically just do a deck profile and just kind of do my thoughts on it. But when my friend Michael gave me these cards for that, usually he just says, have fun with it, do whatever. He said, Mike, this is actually one of my favorite cards, one of my favorite archetypes. Is there any way these cards can be played? I've never been able to make it work successfully, as hard as I've tried. And I said, yeah, dude, there actually is. It actually just topped the YCS. He's like, I know you go to a lot of events. He's like, will you play this for me? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I will. And I knew that there was a regionals coming up. At the time he gave me the cards, I think it was in January, and there was a regionals in February. I was gone, however, so I wasn't able to attend, but this regionals that just took place, I told myself, you know what, I kept a promise to my friend, I'm going to play this, and it turned out pretty well. I ended up going X2, going 7-2 after 9 rounds. I got 23rd place. I already had my invite, but it was just, to play the deck for my friend Michael, and I mean, it worked out, so pretty happy with it. But yeah, that's the win condition of the deck, is Arcana Force, XX1, the world, and Light Barrier. Sometimes you're just hard summoning the world and flipping a coin. It's like going to Vegas and gambling, and hopefully you just win. But on to the rest of the deck. It's why the deck is so insane. It's dangers, a lot of dangers, tons of dangers. We're going to start with, of course, the 9 best ones, Nessie, Jackalope, Snake. You guys have seen these cards before. Basically, this deck just puts a bunch of monsters on the board, makes a Saryuja, and, just draws through the whole deck. We have a ton of draw cards. There's a card that's actually in my deck that no one was playing yet in this deck, and I have more shoutouts as the video progresses, but I talked to several people about this deck, and I ended up deciding on this list, and I'm really, really happy with it. But, yeah, so the 9 best dangers, and then the 2 4s, the Chupacabra, and the Mothman. So these are actually extremely important, because this is one of the only decks that can still hard play Azathoth, because you make a Nyarla, and then you just put Azathoth on top. And when you put Azathoth on top, it means no hand traps. It means my Curious, my Saryujas, my Beginning of the End, my Allures. All my draw cards are going to resolve, and you're not going to be able to respond to them. And that's enough to win the game. Like, honestly, it's enough to win the game. And also, like, just extra bodies on the board is just really, really solid. And yeah, I played the 4s, and then I played the 8s. I played 2 Bigfoot, 2 Thunderbird, and 2 Ogopogo. So it's actually a total of 21 dangers. I did not play Dogman. That card is trash. I'm sorry. I wanted to play that card. Originally, I had like 1 copy in here, and then I realized, no, this card sucks. Like, it literally does nothing for me going first. Originally, I remember Akeem was playing 3 of it, and he was playing Draco Sack, and originally I was trying that, but I didn't like it. It didn't feel consistent enough to me to put, to put 2 piece of crap monsters on the board, make a Draco Sack, make some tokens, and then try to link into Saryuja. I figured I want these level 8s because they all do something. This pops a face up, this pops a face down, this is like a Foolish Burial, so this fuels beginning of the end. This with Twin Twister is broken, this with Twin Twister is broken, and also with the spell card, that one of the draw cards that's in my deck, yeah, it just made these cards insane. So these were all the dangers I played. It was 21 danger monsters, 21 upstart goblins, because Konami didn't want to hit any of them, so there's that. And then the support cards, 3 Brow. This card is nuts. I love Dark Worlds to death. I still have my ulti Brows that a friend of mine gave me in college. Shout out to you, Nanigans. I know you don't play the game anymore. I don't really hear from you much anymore, but I miss you, bro, and I always will keep these for you. So I had to play my ulti Brows. Never getting rid of these. These were my bays. And then I saw this card like it was my job, the 1 Sky Blaster. The reason why I saw this card so much is because I draw through my whole deck. Like, I'm drawing through my whole deck so much, and my opponents will waste hand traps, and then I'll Azathoth them, and then, yeah, summon Sky Blaster, summon tokens. They're just like, it's a 1-of. I'm like, yeah, I drew like about 20-something cards out of my deck. I'm probably going to see it. So, yeah, this card at 1 is still absolutely insane in this deck. And then one of the other MVPs was Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. Shout out to my boy Charles. He hooked me up on the Ultra literally at the last minute. I was going around the regionals like a madman asking for a Ultra Zephyros, and everyone looked at me like I was insane. I probably asked like 80 people. I'm not exaggerating. I went through around the whole hall, and my boy Charles, who's been playing the game just as long as I have, actually had one of these. So shout out to you, brother. Thank you for hooking me up on this. This card was very, very good. This card's extremely important for the deck because it lets you reuse dangers. It lets you reuse the world. Like, say you summon it early, and say you get tails, that kind of sucks. So what you do is you bounce the world back to your hand, and then you do this again, make another Saryuja special again, and you try again. You try again to get heads, and this card lets you do that. It's also a 4 for the Nyarla Azathoth play, so that's really solid. And then just the One-Shot All Beast. It's like another Brow, lets you draw a card if it's discarded off dangers. All these cards are amazing to be discarded off dangers. So that's it for the monster count. It should be 28 monsters. And then 12 spells. You guys already saw Light Barrier. But the most broken card in my deck. Yeah, this card says draw 3, beginning of the end. Shout out to my boy Monty, a.k.a. Black Bay, for hooking me up on these. Because, man, no one had these. Ulti First Ed, beginning of the ends are really hard to come by. But I knew my boy could come through for me, and he did. And man, this card literally just says draw 3. You have 7 or more darks, banish 5, draw 3. Not once per turn. I mean, it's broken. Like, it's literally broken. And it's so easy to get 7 darks in your deck when your entire deck, when 27 out of the 28 monsters is dark, and you're just, drawing, discarding, doing so much. And yeah, this card is nuts. Like, this is the reason to play Dangers, is beginning of the end. And yeah. And then 3 Allure. I mean, same thing. My whole deck is dark, so just draw through the whole deck. And then the Spice, the card that... There's only one person who played this card with Dangers, and it's because they were playing Blue Eyes. So shout out to you, Alan, a.k.a. Seto Kaiba, the Blue Eyes Master. And it was 2 trade-ins. So I have not seen any Danger list that play trade-in, and it kind of blew my mind because, I mean... the card says discard, and you discard a Bigfoot, you discard a Thunderbird, you discard an Ogopogo, something happens. And I mean, it's nice. Like, you just you discard, you pop a card, draw 2 cards. Like, it's crazy. What I really liked about this card too is that it just helped me like just filter through my deck like so fast. My deck is like Danger Turbo with the win condition of the world, and if that doesn't work, well, then I just put a bunch of monsters on the board, make some link monsters, and yeah, your life points hit 0. So it was pretty crazy. But yeah, trading was insane. I shout out to my boy Ken Quo. He was the one who talked to me about this card and says, why aren't you playing this card? And I was like, it says discard, doesn't it? He's like, it does. I'm like, oh my god, you're right. Like, I just felt so dumb for not realizing it. But yeah, trade-in was definitely one of the best cards in my deck. I only played 2 though, because the world is also an 8. For people who don't know, Arcane of the World is an 8. So if you trade it in early, you can reborn it with Monster Reborn and World Legacy Succession in order to get the effect off again. If you have Light Barrier, it's game, because you just call heads and they skip their turn. So
That was it for like the draw engine. And then the 2 reborn cards that I mentioned, World Legacy Succession and Monster Reborn. These are extremely important because not only are they to reborn the world if anything happens, it lets you reborn monsters to make another Saryuja, or it just helps you reborn monsters for game. I'll be honest, I won a lot of games. I up until round 5, I hadn't dropped a game, and a lot of my game 2s after I basically FTK'd with the world was they would make me go second. So going second, I would just summon a bunch of dangers, make a Wee Witch's Apprentice, my monster, all my darks gain 500, and then I just attack for a billion, and it'll be game. So these cards are really important in bringing back monsters. So it was really, really handy to play these, not only for the combo, but for just monster recursion in general. And the last card is Card Destruction. This card is broken. Like, I don't know why this card even came off the list. This card didn't get asked once. Everyone let it resolve, and there was one game against Salad. I discarded it with like 3 dangers, and I mean, it was, it was game. Like, it was utterly ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I played Dark World back in the day. You guys know with Dark Worlds, if you card Destruction, it was game. Well, dangers are kind of like Dark Worlds in a sense. So yeah, that's what ended up happening. That's it for the deck, you guys. It was a clean 40. I had a card count of 45, and I cut it down. There was like, I like maxed out on all the level 8 dangers, but then I realized like my hands were just getting too clumpy with them, so I wanted to just have a more consistent deck. So yeah, so I shrunk it to 40, and definitely was very happy with the results. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck real quick, 3 of this broken card that, you know, I'm surprised this card survived the ban list. I don't think it'll survive the next ban list, but you're letting me play 3, I'm going to play 3. It says draw 4. Like, this with beginning of the end is ridiculous because it really does become a draw 4 because you can draw beginning of the end, put back the other 3 cards, beginning of the end, draw 3 more cards, and you can make up to 4 of these in one game because you're able to shuffle it back with Unicorn for a 4th time. So this is ridiculous. I never did that, but there were a lot of games that I actually did summon 3 Saryuja, so it was broken. MVP of the deck. And then definitely Curious was another MVP. Basically, you use this. All your dangers are different types. You just usually send the world, depending on the situation. I was usually sending Shadal Beast or Zephyros, though, because I would kind of want to just summon the world out of my hand off of Saryuja, but sending Beast was awesome because it let me draw a card. Sending Zephyros was awesome because it let me, reuse a danger. And then this milling 3 cards, statistically speaking, it would usually mill a couple more darks, which fueled beginning of the end. So it was insane. And if this card was ever cleared off the board, it let me get a card back. But I was usually linking away with it, but there was also that option too. And then, because my deck can play it, I played Nyarla and Azathoth. Whenever I got this off, people just, there was nothing you could do if you didn't have Impermanence. Once this card sticks to the board, that's it. You can't use hand traps or anything. Impermanence is the only out, and even then, like, if I get your hand count down and I'm just drawing through my whole deck and I get to the world and you have nothing left, like, it's insane. So, Azathoth was definitely an MVP when I summoned it. People were shocked that a deck was still playing Azathoth. I'm like, yeah, my deck can play it. Why wouldn't I play it? Then on to the Link monsters, Link Spider, that's for the Sky Blaster tokens. 1 Space Insulator. This card is really, really good in this deck because you can just make it with the Sky Blaster tokens, and that's really handy because not only is it a dark for beginning of the end, but it also just helps you set up curious plays. It helps you link. It just helps you link climb, and I really, really like that. And then without a doubt, I underestimated this card, and I was so wrong. This was I'll be honest, after Saryuja, I think this was the best card in my deck. Whenever I went second, I was never summoning Saryuja. I was always summoning this. I was summoning this and just putting a bunch of monsters on the field that are all dark because my whole deck is dark and just attacking my opponent for game. It didn't matter. I just ripped fields apart with like nightmares and then linked away into dark monsters, and then this gave them a 500 boost. I played against a Trickstar guy, really cool guy, round 4, and game 1, like literally he had put stuff up, and then I literally summoned Wee Witch. I didn't even get the world off during either of those games. I literally just did the same thing of summoning Wee Witch, a bunch of monsters just attacking for game. All his Trickstars lost 400 because they were light, and it was game. It was insane. So, man, if you're playing a Danger deck, this is like the best card. Like, it's insane. It's really insane. I never thought I could find a deck that could really utilize this, but man, this card is insane. And then the Nightmares, I played Cerebus, Phoenix, Unicorn, and Griffin. I played all of them because they're just good. They're utility. They let me draw cards, and they're just all really good. Being able to pop, being able to spin stuff really good. Also, this being dark is super important with Wee Witch's Apprentice. It goes to 27. That's pretty big. And then Griffin, I don't actually think, I want to say I maybe summoned it once. The plan with it was if I milled Light Barrier and, I needed to resolve the world and I needed heads to resolve, as convoluted as it sounds, the play was to summon Griffin, set the Light Barrier from my graveyard into the field zone, and then shuffle it back with Unicorn, and then hope to draw it and activate it again. It sounds complicated. It's actually not that complicated, but it was just there as another option. And Griffin's effect is actually pretty good. And then the Borals to round out the extra deck. I didn't summon this card until the very last game during the very last round of Swiss, and it won me the game flat out because I thought I lost. I was going against Orcust. I Lancia'd him in game 3 as he was about to combo off. He ended on just a Galatea, and I went Prankatops, and I did some danger things. I ended on a Prankatops, a Wee Witch, and 2 Chupacabras, and I had cleared his board, so I thought, okay, this is game. And when I summoned the Wee Witch was the last card I summoned. I thought, okay, as soon as I summon this and attack, it's game. He drops Phantasma, and I'm like, oh my god, it's dark. Did I just mess up? Did I just screw myself during this last game? Because I committed my whole hand, and this was everything I had, and I was about to scoop, and then I did some simple math, because at least I know that kind of math, and I linked away my Wee Witch and my 2 Chupacabras into Boral Sword, and attacked with Boral Sword and Prankatops for game. So this card came in clutch at the last minute, so really happy I played it. And then just to my side deck real quick, shout out to you, Johnny, you're never getting that back. Actual Sky Blaster tokens. Again, shout out to you, Joe Bogley. Thank you so much for letting me get these, bro. I love these. I love having the real ones. My side deck real quick. This is the best card. This card is broken. This is a god card against Orcust. They can't play. This was broken. I played against two True King Dinos. Not True King. I played against a True King Dino, a Lost World Dino, all those kind of Dino decks, and this card was just game. You just drop it when you know they got Pill and they can't do anything. 2 Denkos. This was for all the back row decks. Of going second, just summon this. Summon a bunch of dangers. It's game. Same thing with Prankatops. The reason why I didn't max out on these cards, as you guys can see, I'm drawing my whole deck, so I didn't want to see like a ton of them since I can only really do 1 per turn. So these were good. This was the only card I wanted to have multiples of because I would side it in going first or second against Orcust because it's just that good. Same thing for Danger Thunder. And then I played only 1 sphere mode. Shout out to my boy Derek. He told me to. I had 2 sphere modes originally, and then we turned one of the sphere modes into a Artifact Lancia because this card is just so high impact against Orcust. It's literally skip their turn. It's like a D barrier basically. And then with my deck being able to OTK going second with all the dangers, this was definitely a good call. So great call on that, Derek. I really appreciate that. And sphere mode was just there for all the the Build-A-Board decks, and I didn't really play too many of those, but this was basically for for things like that. And yeah, it was fine. I saw it a couple times, and just they didn't have 3 monsters, so I just it got hit. It got sniped when I was revealing dangers, and that was fine. 3 Twin, definitely one of the best cards in my side deck because it triggers all my dangers. This plus Thunderbird, this plus Bigfoot is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. And then I sided 2 Anti-Spell and an Imperial Order. This was for Sky Striker, and this was also for Pendulum. So basically, the Griffin would come in more handy in those matchups because I could, against Pendulums, I could literally, mill this off of Curious or just have this in the graveyard and then reset it with Griffin if it got milled at all, or I could just draw into it. Same thing goes for Imperial Order. The Curious Griffin lock is really, really solid. So that's what these were for. It didn't come up, but it just was there. And then a side deck Dweller because against Salamangreat, I actually only played 1. The plan was just to bring this out and just, they can't play on their turn, and then my deck naturally just attacks for games. So that was the plan with this, but it didn't happen. But yeah, that was the deck, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Whoever's channel you're watching this on, please, give them a thumbs up if you liked it. If you have any questions, feel free to, message me or ask me about it in the comments. Hopefully they link my channel. Again, the channel name is Simply Slim YGO. Some of you might remember me as Slim X Team Symmetry. I don't know, but yeah, it felt great to play this deck for my friend Michael. I kept a promise to a friend, and that's how I am. I always try to keep my promises to people, as crazy as this was. And I'll be honest, I did better with this deck than I did with meta decks. I know it sounds nuts, but I placed a little bit higher than I usually do at regionals. What sucks is I was 1 win away from guaranteed top 8, but I mean, it is what it is. I lost to True Draco and I lost to Orcust. I just got sniped on dangers and I got blown out by the Monarchs Erupt. There was nothing I could do, and I'm not going to be mad about it. This deck is a gamble deck, but I mean, when it works, it works. And I mean, going second, this deck is insane. Like, honestly, I think Pure Danger is ridiculous right now. Like, just going second, you can just break so many boards so easily. So, I really liked it. I hope you guys did too. Shout out to, all my boys that supported me the whole tournament. Shout out to Golden Goats, all our sponsors and everything. And yeah, again, shout out to Akeem Davis at the Grown Man Table. You already know. Joe Bogley. everyone that just helped me with this deck. I really do appreciate all your help. I appreciate all your support. And I know it sounds like a degenerate deck, but trust me, like, it ain't as easy as everyone thinks. It's not a guaranteed OTK, FTK every time. But going second, I mean, it's kind of built to win, so it's pretty nice. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll see you guys over on my channel. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you for watching.